Shock statement from USA. The information that Ukraine kept as a secret was shared. Big blow to Russia has been announced. Operations continued throughout the day. Ukrainian forces launched rocket attacks on Donetsk and Bakhmut regions throughout the day. Russian military installations were destroyed one after another. Moscow suffers critical losses in Donetsk. By order of Kiev, the number of operations on the supply routes increased. Most of the highways and supply routes passed under the control of Ukrainian army. Moscow is cornered. The tension is increasing day by day. Ukrainian forces resumed morning operations. Ukrainian armed forces carried out numerous attacks with the HIMARS and MORS rocket systems and destroyed Russian defense lines. With the coming of the new year, the first operations were organized by Ukrainian army. The intensity of the battle on the Svatovo-Kremenna line increased considerably. If Ukrainian army takes control, the troops in the region will be in a very advantageous position. 5 missile attacks were carried out against the Russian defense line in the region. Russian troops moved to withdraw from Svatovo-Kremenna area. The attacks carried out by Ukrainian army with rockets have continued uninterrupted for a week. It has been stated that new rockets and HIMARS systems have started to be shipped to the region. Russian experts say attacks will increase in the future. If Moscow cannot send support to the region, Russian army will suffer great losses. As you know, members of Wagner Group made very harsh and abusive statements about Russian Chief of Staff. Currently, Russia cannot collect ammunition on the Eastern Front. As Ukrainian troops advance, Russia's greatest need is artillery and rockets. Because unsuccessful in ground operations, Russian troops are firing artillery and rockets from distant areas to slow down or stop Ukrainian army. However, the ammunition problems experienced by Moscow caused the soldiers to fall into a very difficult situation for those working at the front. In addition, the ammunition advantage of Ukrainian army greatly reduced the morale of the Russian front line. The destruction of the Russian command centers in the region causes the soldiers in the trenches to flee. For this reason, the 2 main roads in the region are very valuable. Moscow already has a huge ammunition problem. If the supply routes in the region are also under the control of Ukrainian army, Russia will clearly lose its eastern front. Because military equipment and ammunition support cannot be provided to the soldiers who, on the other hand, Ukrainian army carried out successive attacks on the Donetsk region. Following the Svatovo-Kremenna regions, 25 attacks were carried out on Russian ammunition depots, command centers, and military equipment in Donetsk. Most of the attacks were carried out with HIMARS systems. As a result of the operations, 3 ammunition depots, 2 Russian positions, and 4 command centers were destroyed. It was also announced that a large number of military equipment was damaged as a result of the explosions. Experts expect Ukrainian army to launch an offensive again soon. Russian troops, whose coordination was broken, began to retreat a little more every day. Shocking statements came from USA as the clashes continued at the front. The biggest blow to Russia, which Ukraine kept a secret, was announced by experts. Months after the flagship Moskva of Russia's Black Sea Fleet sank into the cold waters of Black Sea, some very controversial news came from United States. The book The Fight of His Life, Inside Joe Biden's White House fell on the agenda of USA like a bombshell. The New York Post, which covered the book written by Chris Whipple, said, USA continues to support Ukraine. Russian flagship Moskva appeared before us with the title of shipwreck. Speaking to NBC News on condition of anonymity, U.S. officials announced that intelligence shared by Washington helped Ukraine sink the Russian cruiser Moskva. In this process, USA has never been directly involved in the war. But Ukrainian military continues to provide information and intelligence. Western countries said that intelligence information will be shared so that Ukrainian army can protect their territory. Officials said the attack came after Ukrainian forces questioned the Americans about a ship sailing in Black Sea south of Odessa. According to the same statement, the United States did not determine that the ship was Moskva, but did support the position to confirm its position. In this process, Ukrainian troops located Moscow, but contacted American intelligence service to make a definitive determination about the ship. After the statements made, Ukrainian army determined that the ship belonged to the Moscow cruiser and started the attack. Moscow, home to more than 500 crew members, was the target of 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles fired by Ukraine on the 14th of April. Although Russia announced that the ship sank, it is not yet clear how many soldiers lost their lives in the attack. Officials stated that United States did not know in advance that Ukraine would target Moscow and did not interfere with the decision to attack. The aid signals sent by the ship, which was the target of Ukraine's Neptune missile, emerged after it was hit. Open-source intelligence analysts had detected SOS and sync signals in Morse code from the warship. United States explains that in this process, intelligence reports were shared with Ukraine. However, as I mentioned, United States will not be directly involved in the war. As you know, Ukrainian army wanted long-range missiles to be sent to Ukraine since the beginning of the war. However, the United States did not deliver these missiles to Ukraine as it knew that long-range missiles could directly target Russian territory. It was also announced that the parts of the missile systems sent by USA and NATO were replaced. By replacing parts of these missiles and missile systems, the United States reduced Ukraine's range of attack. Because if Ukraine directly attacks Russian territory, Russia could start a nuclear war. United States has suspended the delivery of long-range missiles for now to prevent further escalation. In this process, Western countries have decided to defend the territory of Ukraine and impose economically dissuasive sanctions on Russia. While sanctions continue, Britain has announced that it has completely stopped buying liquefied natural gas from Russia. In a statement from UK, it was stated that we prevent Putin from financing his illegal war, while imports of liquefied natural gas from Russia were stopped. British Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office announced that imports of Today UK has stopped all imports of liquefied natural gas from Russia. We discourage Putin from financing his illegal war and support countries around the world to reduce their dependence. On the other hand, a detailed report on the missile attacks carried out by Russia on the territory of Ukraine was published. After the missile attacks by the Russian army yesterday, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine shared clear and detailed information about the attacks. While the clash, it was stated in the statement that the Russian attacks were carried out especially against the Kiev, Chernihiv, Sumy, Khmelnytsky, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Mykolaiv and Kherson regions, and that the enemy carried out 31 missiles and 12 airstrikes in the last 24 hours. Critical statements were made in the statement that Russian army also launched 10 manned aerial vehicles to Ukraine. Ministry of Defense of Ukraine attacked the enemy with 13 Shahed 136 UAVs made by Iran. All of them were destroyed by Ukrainian defense forces. The threat of hostile air and missile strikes continues across Ukraine. In the statement, it was stated that Russian forces carried out attacks on Ukraine with artillery and other heavy weapon systems in the last 24 hours.